Hey guys, welcome back to my channel today. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a full face of Fenty Beauty products. I'm so excited. I have been getting a couple requests from you guys to do full face of the same brand and just kind of highlight what are the better products and what are some products that you can skip on. So I'm definitely doing that today. When I surveyed my collection, I realized I had quite a bit from Fenty already, and I have tested some things out. Other things I have just picked up and I'm going to be testing today to let you guys know what I think. So without further ado, let's get right on into it. I am so excited to put everything to the test. I have heard such great things about this brand, so let's get started. So when it comes to my face routine and what I do first, first of all, as you can see, my brows are done. I do have a Holy Grail brow duo. As you guys know, if you've been around my channel for some time, you know that I am very loyal to these. So that's what I did my brows with today, was my Brow Wiz in shade Taupe with the brow gel, both from Anastasia. I do not believe Fenty Beauty has any brow products as of current. I could be mistaken, but I didn't see anything online, so that's why I just used my own. So first off, let's do the eyes. This, of course, is going to be interesting. I am going to try the Pro Filt'r concealer to be my base for my eyes. I know there is an eye primer. That is the only thing I forgot to pick up. I can't believe I forgot that. I'm kicking myself now, but I'm hoping that using this concealer is not going to be a huge mistake. So I don't know if you're like me, but I have found some of the hydrating concealers to be very poor bases for eyeshadow because they just, they obviously move around on the eye a little bit and they, break apart your shadow a little bit earlier. So that is something I'm really hoping doesn't happen here. So right away, this is not budging. I'm trying to move it with my finger a little bit and it's pretty tacky and also really staying in place. It is blending, but I feel like I'm tugging a little bit harder than I would like on my eye to do so. You can definitely use a brush as well, but I would suggest doing one eye if you need to use this in a pinch, one eye and then do the other because this is drying really dang quickly. Now let's get on to the eyeshadow. There were two options online. I saw the Moroccan Spice palette, which drew me right away. It is this beautiful palette right here. So pretty. There's also the Galaxy palette, and that one just didn't grab me as much. So I just decided to go for Moroccan Spice. This is what this palette looks like, you guys. It is so gorgeous. I feel like I could do so much with this. There's nice neutrals. There's pops of shimmer. There's a blue in there and some deeper shades. So just trying to think, what do I want to do with this today? I'm also going to use her Fenty eyeshadow brushes with this palette. So we do have one that is for, let's see, it just says 200 eyeshadow and then 210 blending. So I'm guessing this brush is the one that she wants us to pack eyeshadow onto the lid and then blend with this guy. So let's try that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, let's see, the shades are on the back of this palette. I think what I want to do is I want to start with a brown. I'm going to start with Cumin Get It? Cumin Get It, I think, or Come and Get It. And I'm going to take her eyeshadow brush here and just see how that works. Wow, so this definitely packs pigment. You can see how much pigment is on already. I think that's a lot right off the bat, which is amazing. This brush to me is not like the best thing I've ever used. I can say that already. It's kind of fanning out a little bit more than I would like, but that's okay. I do think they're not bad. Like, they're not my favorite brushes ever, but they're not bad. So now that this one brush is done, don't really know if I can go back into it again with another shade. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the rest of my eyeshadow brushes and I'll be right back. Now using my Wayne Goss number 18, I'm going to go in with another shade. This is, it's definitely a bit of a nuisance going back and forth from the back to the front. This one is Spice Trip. We're going to start with this one now and see how that one goes. So these right off the bat are very, very pigmented shades, as you guys can see. So when I picked it up with the Wayne Goss, it was like on my brush immediately. So there's definitely no concerns with pigmentation for sure. They are blending really nicely onto the lid. Obviously the Wayne Goss is blending it, I would say, a little bit better than the Fenty Beauty ones did. I don't necessarily think that those Fenty ones are my favorite currently, but you know, it is what it is. Okay, so first impressions so far with this Moroccan Spice palette, you guys. The pigment translates really quickly, so go light-handed for sure with these brushes. I do think that the blending brush isn't bad. So what I'm doing is kind of, blending the outside of the edges a little bit with that, and it's not bad, like I must say. Now going in with some more precision, I'm going in with my Wayne Goss number 19, and I'm gonna pick up the Gold Shimmer. This is Desert Baked. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically placing Desert Baked in between the first shade that we did and the second shade that we did. This is gonna kind of meld them together and kind of give some cohesion to the look a little bit more. And I do like the 19 for this. This is doing a really good job. I think it's applying it perfectly on the lid. This look is definitely starting to come together. It looks quite spicy for sure. There's I think I'm just gonna have to blend out the edges a little bit more, but so far we are looking okay. I do wanna add a little bit more shimmer in there, and I wanna do this one here at the top. So we do have a lot of shimmer options in this palette, which is really nice. We have this gold here, which is really beautiful, and we also have this gold, which is beautiful. So what I'm looking at here is Mirage or Casablanca. I think I'm gonna go with Mirage, which is more of the peachy gold, and I know this is much more of a glittery kind of shade, so I'm gonna go in with my finger on this one. This is exactly what I was hoping it would be. So it's definitely a gorgeous, shimmery top coat for sure. As you can see, it's translating beautifully on the eye. All right, guys, so that is it for the eye look. What do you guys think? I think this is definitely, when you look at this palette, this is definitely the safer look to go for because it is quite neutral still, quite warm with the spice and the brown tones in it. So I do think you can do quite a bit more with this. I mean, you can definitely play with the blue and the purples on the other side of the palette. So this is a very versatile palette, and so far my first impressions are really nice. Of course, I will definitely do an update in a future video when I test out all the rest of the shades. And as for the concealer, I mean, it's not a bad base. It's holding up right now, but of course the test of time will definitely prove that. Next, I want to try her eyeliners. This is something that I did pick up. This is the Fenty Beauty Fly Liner, and this is in one shade right now. It says, "'Cause I'm Black." That's the shade. Okay, so I'm going to line my upper lid with this liner. As you guys know, Stila is my absolute holy grail in this category, and I do feel like liquid liner is kind of something that I wear every single day pretty well, so I'm a pretty good judge of if something is pretty crappy or not. So let's go ahead and apply this to the lid. This applies really nice. It is nice and black, and the tip of it is really nice and fine. As you guys can see, that is gorgeous. I'm pretty impressed. I'm just gonna pull my mirror a little bit closer. Okay, so liner is on, and basically the first impression that I have of this is that this is very, very precise. The tip is really nice and precise. With that being said, it's almost like the felt tip of this is a little bit stiffer than the Stila product that I use. Even though the Stila is nice and black, it's wet, and it's very, very precise as well, I do find that the felt tip of it has a bit more give. So when you're actually rounding the corner of your eye, like in a rainbow kind of shape, it is following that a little bit, and you can have better control. With this one being a little bit more firmer, what I find is that you can it gets kind of stiff on you as it's going around the corner, almost as if it's like a pencil that's not really moving. It's like that very hard, stiff kind of point to it. So although it's really nice and precise, you have to kind of change your technique a little bit to make sure that you're putting this on an angle so you can get that kind of bend that potentially a different product would give you. Next, I need to do mascara, and there is no mascara from Fenty yet. I'm pretty sure. So I have two options here. I'm going to use my Nars Climax or my Dior Show Iconic Overcurl. Both are really nice. Both are actually two that I am close to using up. So they are getting pretty close to the end, which is why I picked these two. I'm thinking I'm going to try the Dior because it has a nice round kind of brush, as you can see. Can you guys see that? It looks like there's a little bit of a curve to it, which I absolutely love. Anyways, let's get on to the base. So let's go with the primer. I did pick this up from Fenty. This is the Pro Filt'r Instant Retouch Primer, and it's supposed to give a soft matte finish. So I will be using my hands to apply it, and I'm just going to put a little bit in my hands here, rub it together, and just kind of put it on my face here. So it's definitely like a lotion. It doesn't feel like it has any silicone to it or anything. If it does, then it's pretty light for sure. Now I have the Fenty 110 foundation brush. I will be applying the Pro Filt'r with it. This is in the shade 145. Now, I don't know if I picked the right shade for this, so forgive me if this is totally off. I did this purely on the internet, which is never a good sign, guys. If you can put it on in person in a store, I highly recommend. So anyways, I'm going to be applying this very lightly just to see how it is with the brush that they recommend. Normally, I do not do brush application with a base. This is going to be, you know, definitely been some time since I've done this technique for sure. I really have to blend this in though, because this is a little bit more yellow toned than I think I would have liked. I might have to go in one more time with my beauty blender, because perhaps the brush alone is not going to do it. But can you guys see, like, it's getting quite streaky already as well? And it dries pretty quick, actually. That is also something that I'm noticing. So I'm noticing that I should really work on one layer at a time and one area of the face at a time, because as soon as you move too far away, it's going to set on you. Okay, so what I can see is that there's a lot of inconsistency with this brush. I'm not going to blame the brush because this really might be my technique. My technique for brush application is very rusty. So I'm going to go in and see if a beauty blender can kind of help salvage this a little bit, because I don't know if I'm liking how this is looking on the skin right now. It's looking quite cakey, and perhaps it has to do with how I'm applying this with the brush. I'm not maybe doing the best job of it. I'm not sure, but especially on my nose, it's looking like it could probably be better. So I'll be right back. I'm going to grab my beauty blender and I'm going to continue with this. This definitely sets really quickly. Even with the beauty blender, it's almost like the foundation is kind of like when you wet your beauty blender and then you put the foundation on, it's very much like soaking in all the moisture really quickly. Even my beauty blender is drying a lot quicker than it normally does. Shade match aside, this is a little bit too light for my face next to my body currently. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great. Now, what I can tell you is it feels pretty cakey on. I'm gonna just be totally honest. I think that right now my feelings are that this foundation has ruined my look. That's kind of how I feel. My skin type is basically normal, so I don't have an oily nor a dry issue on my face. I also feel like it's very matte, like it's more matte than I thought it would be. You definitely have that powderiness kind of to the skin. It is setting pretty nice. It's not transferring at all, but I honestly think that that is probably like the only strength I can see. This is definitely not a holy grail status foundation. This doesn't make me want to try it again at all. Even if I was able to get a better shade for me currently, I don't necessarily think this is something I'm excited to try again. Next, what I want to do is try this powder again all over the face. This again is the Butter Pro Filt'r Instant Retouch Setting Powder, and you get a lot of powder in here, guys. I was pretty impressed. This is 28 grams, so yeah, not bad. This has to be my favorite brush of the collection so far. This is the setting brush. It's super soft. So I'm going to go in with this powder and I'm going to let you know what I think of it. As you can see, this brush has quite a bit of bend like this way, but it would be nicer to have more density kind of at the base, if you know what I mean. So then it kind of has a little bit more stiffness towards the bottom so that you're able to fluff out for sure, you know, set nicely, but then not have it move around too much. So this powder to me is almost making the look look drier. That's kind of what I'm getting from it. It's not my favorite powder in the world at all. If you have oily skin, perhaps this would be better, but I'm just lightly setting this because this is so matte already. I'm just kind of, you know, barely tapping my brush into the powder. So when I'm tapping it in, it's the lightest amount and just kind of dusting. Next, I want to do highlight. So this is a spot, you guys, where I have tried many highlights from Fenty before. So one of my favorites is the Diamond Balm. This is the How Many Carats. This is a gorgeous highlight, you guys. I think it's one of a kind, so pretty. It's definitely like unique in that it's a nice like white glitter, but it feels like kind of wet almost and like bouncy. It's really beautiful. So I love that one. I also love the Killawatt highlights, and I also love the Fairy Balm. So what would look nice with this look? I think I'm gonna do the Killawatt highlighter, and I'm gonna start with the shade Mean Money. So I'm going to use my highlighter brush that I know and love. This is the Sephora Collection Pro Small Blush number 74. And I'm going to go in with this highlight and see how it looks. And I think I might put the Diamond Balm over top maybe. Like, let's go really glam because I need to make up for this foundation looking like garbage. I just want all the highlight. Maybe the highlight can, you know, take some eyes off the fact that the foundation's not looking great. So basically, you guys, I mean, if you're not into highlight as much as I am, not a problem. You can definitely get away with a Killawatt highlight if you're more into that muted kind of glowy look with like a little bit of flexibility to add more shimmer. But these two, like the Fairy Balm here, the one I have is in 24 karat Ray or Cray, 24 Cray, I'm not sure. And then the How Many Carats is the Diamond Balm. Both of these have shimmer impacts like out of this world. So it's definitely more of like a glitzy kind of in your face highlight for maybe special occasions, or if you wear highlight typically with a lot of bam in your face, then you'll definitely love these products. Okay, so next I want to try the matchsticks. So the first one that I picked up is Yacht Lyfe. This is the blush, and I'll show you kind of swatched how it looks like here. It's actually fairly bright, and there's some gold kind of undertones to it, so this really shocked me based on shade. I don't know if the shade is going to be my absolute favorite, but let's just try it out. Next, I took Amber, and that is going to be my contour. It's going to look a little bit deep, so I think I wish I would have done maybe like medium or a different shade. So I'm going to go very light with the contour for sure, because this is quite deep and quite cool tone, borderline purple, right? So this is going to be a bit of an issue. I smile like this. I get the apples of the cheeks going, and I know where to put it. So, oh wow, these are really, really stiff on my skin, you guys. I can't even believe it. I'm going to blend out just with my finger first. I feel like I'm actually beating my face up to try to blend these out. Like I'm just, like it actually kind of hurts. It's definitely not my favorite. Like I said, I feel like I'm beating up my skin and I'm breaking apart the foundation underneath. So I don't think this is a good match for me at all personally. I definitely wouldn't recommend this to you guys. The next thing I'm going to do is contour slightly with this amber shade. Now I'm not going to go too crazy because it is quite a deep contour and it's very cool tone. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit right here. Can you guys see what I'm doing here? And I'm going to leave it here because just like the foundation, these dry very quickly. So I'm going to blend upwards and try to blend this in, basically. As you guys can see, it is faintly there, but again, not necessarily my favorite first shade, but it's not the worst in the world. To kind of salvage this blush, I'm going to go in with Nars Orgasm. I'm going to be using my trusty brush. This is a blush that kind of resembles the Yacht Lyfe shade a little bit, so I'm just going to add a little bit more life back to the cheeks here. Okay, now I'm going to go in with a powder bronzer. I'm going to use the Terracotta Light from Guerlain, and this is actually really nice. It's a multi-toned bronzer. As you can see, there is some nice elements of like some nice blush, a little bit of cool brown, a little bit of warm brown all together, and it's really a nice, gorgeous, natural looking bronzer. So I like to swirl it all together with my Marc Jacobs The Bronze brush, and this is definitely much more of a diffused bronze look. So I understand and realize that this is going to go over top of what a contour would be, so it's not necessarily going to be the same look. This is going to be more of a diffused look, whereas a contour typically is more of a chisel, but I need to save this because this doesn't look very good in my opinion. Lastly, I'm going to set using the Hangover RX from Too Faced. This smells like coconut. It is lovely. To finish this look, I'm going to pick up a lip product. I'm thinking just to kind of make it a little bit easier, since I've had quite a bit of a time here with some of these products, I am going to go in with one of her Mademoiselle lipsticks. This is actually one of my favorites. This is in the shade Spanked, and I'm just gonna put it all over my lips, basically. Nothing too crazy. Since I do want to add a little bit of shine and just put some gloss on my lips, I am going to top it with the Fenty Gloss Bomb in the shade Fussy. Alright guys, so here is the finished look. What do you guys think? I actually think I redeemed myself. You know, not bad considering some of these things were a little bit harder to work with for me. So let's start off with the hits. So the first thing is based on a very strong first impression, and that is the Moroccan Spice palette. This is a gorgeous palette, you guys. I basically had no issues when it came to building up the color on the eye. The mattes are nice and pigmented. They're creamy to blend out. I love the shimmers in this as well. I do think the color story is really nice, and dare I say, without trying the rest of the shades yet, I do think that this is a very strong contender. My first impressions have been phenomenal. Using high quality brushes like the Wayne Goss or some Sigma brushes, if you have more of a lower price point in mind, would be better than the Fenty brushes. These are definitely just a solid okay. I wouldn't necessarily say go out, you need these. The eyeshadow brush in particular, which is this one, number 200, this one, like I said in the video a few times already, is just a little bit wider than what I would like, especially for the shape of my eyes. And with the blending brush, this is a solid okay as well. You definitely have some better blending brushes out there that I do think are worth their money more than this one. The next hit for sure is definitely the highlights. So the Killawatt highlighter here, you guys, this isn't a first impression at all. I've had this in my collection for a long time. There's definitely some dents in the pans here. This one is Mean Money and HUSTLA Baby, and this duo is going to look beautiful on every skin tone. I really do think that that's the case. This is a gorgeous golden glow. You have more of the subtle glow from within side, which is the Mean Money side, and then the HUSTLA Baby has more of that shimmer just to amp it up from day to night if that's what you would prefer. But this is a very versatile little duo. I do really love this and think this is a highlight in her collection. Of course, speaking of highlights as well, I do think that the Diamond Bomb is an amazing highlight. This is one that is truly unique. This is not something that I have in my collection at all, especially when it comes to its texture. If you love those glitzy looks or the capability of having a little bit more glam to your highlight, this is perfect. So this is definitely worth the money as well. I also think that the Fairy Bomb like dust highlight is also worth it. But again, if you are into more of that showy kind of like very bam in your face shimmery highlights. This is a gorgeous gold. It's 24 karat ray, I think is what it is. So this is another one that I think is gorgeous for those glitzy glam highlights. The Fenty Beauty Fly Liner is also going to be a hit for me. I think that this is something that is very nice and precise, very, very black, nice and pigmented, very easy to use. And I love as well that you can get that perfect line. Lastly, let's take a look at the lip products because those are obviously worth mentioning. First, we have the gloss bombs. I do have 3 of these. these are stunning. I think the Diamond Milk is gorgeous for a clear gloss. We have Fussy, which is beautiful for like a pale pink, and then we have more of like a peachy pink in the Fenty Glow. You can almost display these on your vanity because they're so pretty. So I love these glosses. They're definitely a highlight in the collection. Same with the Stunna lip paints. I didn't use these today, but I have used them in the past, and these are gorgeous too. I mean, just look at the packaging. They're so pretty. Lastly, I do love the Mademoiselle lipsticks as well. These, again, they're a comfortable matte finish. I do personally like to add a gloss over top of them just because that is my preference, but I can also wear it without a gloss for sure. Now let's talk about the products that, in my opinion, are just okay, or they need to be tested a little bit further. The first thing is the primer. This is the Pro Filt'r Instant Retouch Primer in Soft Matte. The reason why I've put this in the okay / needs more testing to kind of formulate an opinion kind of category is because this did nothing for the foundation in my opinion. I still think the foundation looked quite dry, quite cakey, bunched up a little bit, and was pretty streaky and that kind of thing. So this didn't necessarily enhance the product in any way, but I do need to test it with other things because it could very well just be the foundation. I already mentioned the eye brushes as being a solid okay. You definitely don't need them. This foundation brush is also okay in my opinion. However, I do have a little bit of a bias, as you know, because I mentioned in my video that I typically apply product, like base product, with a beauty blender. So I don't typically use brushes, but I do like how this is nice and dense. I do think that it does have the capacity and capability of putting foundation on well. But that being said, I used it with the Pro Filt'r foundation and it didn't help it along really either. So I don't know. I think it applied it fine, but again, I don't necessarily think I would go ahead and tell you guys this is a brush that you absolutely need. Out of all the brushes, this setting brush is the one that it kind of pains me because I don't really know. Again, this is kind of okay because I like how it's nice and soft. This is definitely high quality bristles right here. I love that, but I wish for an overall setting powder brush that this had some density at the base, just a little bit more, just so that it wasn't so floppy, as I'm kind of setting my face. The last thing in this category that I want to say is just okay / needs more testing is definitely the concealer. So the concealer as an eye base, I mean, so far so good. We don't have anything creasing or anything, so that's really nice. I mean, in a pinch, it's doing a fairly good job for, putting as eyeshadow base, basically. I do think that this is more on the drier side when it comes to concealers. I wouldn't say it's like a hydrating formula. I am just going to test this a little bit further and let you guys know. Now let's get on to the unfortunate misses of this collection. Let's talk about the foundation. You guys know that my feelings are pretty clear in this video. This isn't my favorite. This is supposed to be a soft matte, and I would say it's definitely a full matte. I have some soft matte foundations that look a lot better than this. This one is quite drying on my skin. I have normal skin as well, so if you have dry skin, I think this would be awful for you. I hate to say it, but you would have to hydrate the heck out of your skin first. If you have oily skin, this might look a lot better on you. But the finish is cakey, it's dusty looking, it breaks apart, and it's just not my favorite. I mean, I'm not going to comment on the shade because the shade was obviously off with undertone and off with shade a little bit too light, but the quality of this product, I'm just not excited to use it again, so I definitely think you can skip this. Now let's talk about the powder. This is the Pro Filt'r Instant Retouch Setting Powder. This is a pretty dry powder, you guys. In my opinion, I do think there are some better powders out there, and I do think this is going to be more so suited for oily skin types. My normal skin, I felt like it added even more dryness onto an already dry foundation. Lastly, let's talk about these guys, the matchsticks. I found these A, very stiff, B, I didn't find the shades to be very nice at all. It was really hard to blend into the skin. I know they say you're supposed to warm it up on your hand and blah, 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 but it wasn't moving. And even over top of the foundation that was already pretty drying on my skin, it was just starting to break apart. I was like, guys, this is not helping. So I wouldn't use these again. When it comes to the contour as well, the same situation. Anyways, guys, that is it for this full face video using Fenty Beauty and my hits and misses. Let me know down below, what are your thoughts on this type of video? Should I be doing any more of these? And if so, with which brand? I am always so interested to hear your thoughts. If you guys enjoyed it, don't forget to let me know by giving it a big thumbs up, as well as don't forget to subscribe. I would love to see you guys back here. And until my next video, guys, take care. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.
You and me, everything that we've been through has made us strong. You won't believe we've had our gray, but somewhere there's a light inside of us. It shows the way.